Battersby Field is located on Girard and F Street near the Watcom Middle School here in Bellingham, Washington. Today is just simply that, a field. I dance in it and I exercise in it. It's one of the very few fields that has a nice cinder track for speed walking and skipping and running. However, it was not always like this. Back in the 1940s and 50s or earlier, Battersby Field was not just a simple field. It was Bellingham's stadium for football and baseball. Yes, it did have stands and it did have lights. And this is where everybody went to enjoy sports prior to the construction of the civic field, what we have now. A severe storm wiped out the stands, and they took the stands and the lights down. This same era included a real television station. It was KVOS, Television Channel 12, Bellingham. They did local sports and news. But then, later in their life, they got gobbled up by corporations who really did not care about local activities. I decided to bring it back to life, not as KVOS, but KVOB, Voice of Bellingham. The KVOB cameraman on top of the truck on the right is Dwight David Eisenhower, the U.S. president in the 1950s. He signed Executive Order 10450, which required that the United States government fire all homosexuals from the federal service. The KVOB cameraman on the left, standing on the truck, is one of Eisenhower's first victims. He was a scientist working for the United States government, and he was fired from his job because he was gay. His name is Frank Kemeny. When he got fired, he became a militant and a wonderful activist who's done a lot for our community. Let's bring the two of them together on top of that truck, and let's hope they can work together and make amends for what happened in the 50s. Although he was angry, Frank Kemeny is a peaceful man, and I have full confidence that he will resist the temptation to shove Dwight David Eisenhower off the side of the roof of this truck. Let there be peace. Providing education for hundreds of thousands of students over the years and the decades, that beautiful white building on the right, of course, is none other than the Watcom Middle School. Need I say anything else? However, the red brick building on the left is a piece of work of my own artistic liberty. That is the Metropolitan Community Church of San Francisco, where I met Arthur and his friends, whom I will introduce later. The Metropolitan Community Church of San Francisco has underwritten this sports broadcast with advertising, and therefore we were able to generously move that building here to its new home in the old little town of Bellingham. The man in the blue shirt laying down on the sideline with his head wedged onto the bottom of the bleachers is none other than my childhood psychiatrist from Boston, Massachusetts in the 1960s. His name was Dr. Norman Leo Paul. When I was a very young child, my autism was far worse than it is now, and I was extremely shy, really kind of wanted to stay inside my shell. Dr. Paul worked diligently with myself, my parents, and our entire family to help me come out of my shell and help me blossom to the rainbow you see dancing around Bellingham right now. Dr. Paul is taking a very well-deserved nap, resting after all that work. However, his feet are sticking onto the track, and the runners may trip over Dr. Paul. If this was a fully sanctioned Olympics event, we would have been disqualified, and unfortunately, Dr. Paul would have to pay a hefty fine to the Olympics. As many of you know from my previous videos, Arthur Rosenall was my one and only true love. Here you see myself in the red shirt as I looked like in my 20s, and Arthur in the yellow shirt, he was in his 50s. Our relationship was very platonic, however, we loved to express our love in public. Here we are showing our true love on KVOB, sports television. Now let's do a little bit of manipulation for history. The man on the left, clapping, standing with a black necktie and white shirt, is Clyde Bellingham. He is our mentor. He is our spiritual leader, and he is our new namesake. The original namesake was Sir William Bellingham, who never set foot in Bellingham. He just said Bellingham from a ship. So he didn't do much. Let's replace him by a person who loves this town, and that's Clyde Bellingham. Sitting on the bleachers in front of Mr. Bellingham, starting from the left, is Eric Rhineland. He was a former gay hustler rescued by Arthur. Next to Eric is Roland Riverdance, who's also a former street hustler rescued by Arthur. The man with the blue hair and the light blue collar is Jovelin. He's modeled after Joe Bray, who was the first openly gay rock musician. You can't see it well here, but he's wearing a clear plastic jacket. I'm including him because he was the first person whom I saw wearing clear plastic clothing besides myself. Seated further to the right is none other than our own beloved Harvey Milk of San Francisco. No more need to be said about him. Which brings us to the man in the pink shirt and purple pants doing ballet dancing on top of the railing of the bleachers. His name is Jackie Hormona. Jackie Hormona was one of the very first gay youth who fought against the police during the Stonewall riots. It was the youths who started that riot and nobody else. After the riots during Gay Pride, one of the things he loved to do was to climb on light poles and dance on top of light poles. He's a wonderful man, very, very wild and very active. He's a wonderful addition to our community here in Bellingham. The man in the pink shirt running is a wonderful athlete by the name of Jason Thunderhead. He started life as a gay hustler along with the others, and he was rescued by Arthur and nurtured away from the street scene and became a really wonderful, dedicated athlete. He is the athletic star of the show. KVOB Television is sponsoring him, hoping that he can qualify for the Olympics. The man on the far right is Jason's boyfriend. His name is Greg Forrestsong. He was also a hustler. Actually, he was hustling with Jason as a couple. Of course, Arthur rescued him along with Jason. He's also an athlete, but here he is cheering on Jason, hoping that he will qualify for the Olympics. Now, we have to mention a story. I had a wonderful conversation with one of my own mentors here in Bellingham who wished to remain anonymous. That conversation elicited memories, unhappy memories of my own childhood. You have to understand, I did not like gym, and I did not like sports, and I did not like exercise when I was a child. I sequestered myself in my electronics shop. Now, of course, that's changed. I love to run around Bellingham and lift weights in the gym and everything else. But if you look carefully at this image between Eric and Jason, see a little boy hiding under the grandstands of the bleachers. That scared little boy is myself. I would always hide under the bleachers during gym class until they gave up and let me go to study hall instead of gym. Now that's pretty much it. But of course, I have nothing to hide now. If you see me power walking or dancing on the streets or dancing in the weight room of the YMCA or dancing at the senior center or dancing just about anywhere else in this town with or without permission, please stop me and say hi and ask questions. And of course, my endearing, heartfelt, compassionate love reaches out to you all. Yes, I love you all.